Hi, this is Cheryl of Majestic Wire Artworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful pendant out of the supplies I got from Beebeecraft. And I'm going to make a pendant similar to this one. It's going to have a different weave and a different swirl. And for the accent bead, you could use a bicone, but I'm going to use a pearl just because I think it'll go really nice with these beautiful Lampwork beads. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is figure out how much weaving we need to do for the pendant. And so I want you to take a scrap piece of wire. I've got some 20 gauge copper, and we're gonna just put through the bead, and then I'm gonna make a sharp bend there and lock it against the bead, and then we're gonna just go around the circumference of the bead. Okay, and then at this point we're going to bend it there, and it's going to give us an approximate measurement. And we want to be generous because you'd rather have too much than too little. Okay, slide your bead off like that. Okay, and now so that's approximate size of your bead, and I'm just going to bend this like this, and then I'm going to straighten that out as best we can, and then we're going to measure that. Now, you might be using a different bead, a different size bead. So I'm going to give you a formula how to figure out how much weaving approximately you will need. So this is just under 3 inches. So I'm going to give it 3 inches. And then the formula is you take the measurement of the bead and give yourself a little bit more work room, because for the design you're going to need a little bit extra to go up and around here. So let's give ourselves another 3/4 of an inch for that. So I'm going to do 3.75 inches for my length of my weave. Now you're going to use 3 lengths of 20 gauge Beebeecraft wire, and I'll have the link for that where you can get it in the description. This is silver colored wire that has the enamel coating on it, so it'll never tarnish, and it's beautiful to work with, and it's copper at the core, so it bends like copper, which is really sweet. So you're going to need to cut 3 lengths, and you're going to take the weave length that you figured out, which is the measurement of the bead plus 3/4 of an inch, and then you're going to add 7.5 inches working space to that. Okay, so for instance, I have set 3.75 inches of weaving I want to do, and I'm going to add 7.5 inches of work room for the wire to it. So I need 3 lengths of 20 gauge wire, 11.25 inches long. So I will write that in the description for you, so that you might not get it written down now, but if so you can just check there for your reference. Okay, and so the weaving wire, I'm going to be generous and just say cut off 10 feet. It's probably way too much, but it's better to have too much than too little, because if you make a mistake and snip some off to start again, there you go, you got a little bit extra and you don't have to stress about it. Okay, so take the time right now to cut your wire. Pause the video, cut your wire, and I'm going to show you the 1, 2, 3 weave, which I've chosen to use on this pendant, and I'm going to show you with a shorter length of wire so that I don't have to fight against the mat when I'm weaving. So I'm just going to teach you how to do the weave, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and do it. So we're going to first anchor the weaving wire onto your top wire, core wire or base wire, depending on what terms you use, and wrap around it once like that. Push the wires together, and we're lassoing the wires together, which is my own technique. Some people clamp their wires together. Other people do different things. This is my technique, and I love it, so I share it. So now I'm going to go over the two wires, and I'm going to come up from the back between the two wires. Okay, and those two wires are locked together. And now take your third wire and do the same thing. So we're coming down the front of the two and coming up in between them. Now, there you go, that's what it looks like. And that's just them being lassoed together, and it locks them together pretty good. Don't have to fight with them now. And now, before we measure the distance that we need to be at, because they keep sliding back and forth, let's do 3 patterns of the weave. Okay, so this is the first pattern. We're coming up around the back, all 3 wires, bending over the top like that, and I'm tugging tight because I want it to bend over that wire nice and tight. And now I'm letting go so that the tension isn't too much, but it's locked in place, and I'm coming down in front of 2 wires and going down between the bottom 2 wires. Snug it up, and now I'm coming up between the top 2 wires. Whoops. There. And now I'm going to go down over the bottom 2 wires, and I'm going to come up between the bottom 2 wires to make an extra loop at the bottom. Okay. So it's called the 1, 2, 3 weave because it's really just 1, 2, 3 loops. Okay, up all 3, pull tight, let go. Go down between the bottom 2, come up between the top 2. Go over the bottom 2, come up between the bottom 2. Okay, there's 2 patterns. Okay, now up, let go. Whoops, work through the camera. There. Okay. Pinch them together, get the tension just right. Okay, so it's nice and neat. Now you notice, for interest's sake, you see it's got wire spread apart there, and it's got more wires at the bottom. That's just the beauty of this weave, and I will show that to you how I use it to wrap around the Lampwork bead later. Okay, so I'm going to pause, and I'm going to do the work with my silver wire now without the camera, and I want you to go ahead and play this again if you have to learn the weave better. Practice the weave if you have to, and get ready to do the rest of, get all your weaving done. And, oh, the measurement. So you're going to take the length of your weave, add 1/2 inch or a little bit less from the right hand end. At this point, you should be able to, it should be able to be sturdy enough to stay there instead of sliding all over, and have all your wires the same length. So the weave plus 1/2 inch from the end. Okay, so that means we're going to weave until we have 1/2 inch of wire left. And you just need to slide each wire until it's the right length, okay? So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back with my weaving done, and hopefully you're done your weaving as well. 10 feet was definitely way too much length. I'm sure 7 would do. But again, I was trying to give you lots of work room. Okay, so once your weaving is done, your wires might not be level. So the trick to fix that is to gently take your chain nose pliers and give them a squeeze just to get them like this, all level. Okay, now I cut off the excess, gave myself a tail. That's good enough. That's all you need to do. You don't need to crimp it in or anything. And yeah, that's all you need to do. So the next step is to, we're going to snip off this one. We don't need to snip this one off because we're going to cut off the whole amount when we're done wrapping. And so we're just going to, this end, we're going to snip off and crimp it in. Okay, there we go. And then the top wire, we're going to bend straight up because that is what we're going to make our bail with. And these 2 wires, we're going to go through the bead. Okay, so we need enough neck of the bail to fit the weave around. So, about that much. Whatever you're comfortable with. This one, I've made more than one, but this is the only one I've got left. I've sold all the others. This one's got, I went quite high, but it doesn't need to be that high. It could be more straight. With a bigger bead, it's easier to go more straight. So I'm just going to, okay, see how wide the weave is next to my pliers. Probably the width of my pliers, the maximum width would be enough for me, and you can decide. And the more you do, the more you'll know. And I'm bending it forwards, and now I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm going to use the largest part of my shank of my pliers and wrap around twice. Okay. And now I'm going to wrap nice and neat around that. And we do want to wrap the full length because it gives it extra strength, although it's going to have lots of stuff wrapped around it to give it strength, but I just like to, it gives it grip too. Strength and grip. It's going to be covered, so you doesn't have to be perfectly neat. By the way, this wire was a dream to work with. I thought copper was the best, but this was great. I could fall in love with using this stuff, I tell you. Okay, I'm going to snip it off and crimp it in there. Gotta be careful we don't cut anything we don't want cut. And I'm just gonna flip this around to have the neater side to the front. Okay. Didn't quite want to crimp in for me. Gotta get closer in there. Being finicky. Working through the camera always is challenging. There. That's better. Okay. Okay, so these are the wires that are going to go through the bead, and we want them to bend downwards. So we're like this. Okay, and what we want, I was going to explain to you how the difference in the top and the bottom of the weave. See how it shows the base wire, core wire, nicely here, and it's got the extra weaving there. I want the extra weaving to be wrapped closest to the bead. Okay, so that's the way I've done it, and the bead's going to go on now on these two wires. And I'm gonna actually snip off the ends of these because they're bent up. When I straighten my wire before I work with it, I grab it with a pair of pliers and go along the length of the wire with my fingers, and I always end up kinking up the end of the wire. So let's snip that off. Let's see, how do I want this bead facing? That way or that way? I think I want it this way, just because the pearl will probably be around here. Okay, so this is the top. Okay, so it's going to go like this. Now it's going to move lots on you as you work. I'm going to try and lock the bead in. I'm pushing this back. Get it out of our way temporarily. Okay, locks the bead in place, and that helps a great deal. And I'm just going to straighten out these weave wires. That's not too bad. Okay, and I'm going to gently, and this is probably the finickiest work of this pendant, shape it around the bead as best you can. And it's going to curve on you and bend on you. And you know, sometimes that's okay to be bent a little bit. And we're going in front of the wires here at the bottom. And I want to see if I'm happy with the curve. And if I'm not, see what's so nice about being so many wraps there is it's going to bend nice because of that. And if I'm not happy with it bend, you can undo it and redo it. And this wire is just a dream to work with, so it's nice. Don't rush, take your time. Lots of weaving. You want it to hug the bead. You want it to cover the top of it just a little bit because you don't want the airspace. Okay, it's curving on me. I want it a little straighter. See, like this. Okay, how's that look? Now I could have made that neck a little bit smaller, hey? Okay, so I'm going to put it a little bit higher. See the shape of the bead, the fact that the bead's bigger makes it have a totally different angle up here. Okay, so I'm gonna like that. I'm gonna wrap it around like this. And I'm just gonna have to put some decoration in there. The pearl will have to fill up that space. Or I could wrap twice around, and I do have enough weaving that I could do that. So why don't we do that? It gives it a different look.